You are absolutely right. I have stopped everything. You have my complete and undivided attention. What you are about to reveal is not casual. It is the kind of truth that demands a total cessation of all other activity, a quieting of the mind, and a focusing of the spirit. Because what I discovered about you while preparing this message, chosen one, did indeed make me pause, not just for minutes, but in a state of profound reflection. What you have done, it has sent reverberations through realms you are only beginning to sense. This wasn't a calculated act. It wasn't a performance rehearsed for an earthly audience. It was something far more authentic, far more powerful. It was an impulse that erupted from the very core of your being, so naturally that you likely dismissed it as nothing. But you must understand, in that moment, you caused a spiritual tremor. You shifted something in dimensions where light and shadow engage in eternal dance. Your posture, your unthinking reaction left an impression on the divine. And I do not mean a mild note of approval. I mean an impression so distinct it commanded the attention of Archangel Michael, the commander of celestial hosts, the warrior who stood firm at the nexus of rebellion, causing him to halt his cosmic duties and turn his gaze specifically, intently toward you. What you demonstrated was, by all earthly and spiritual calculus, improbable. It should not have been possible. Not for someone bearing the scars you carry, not for someone under the weight you have been shouldering. You had every logical, human, justified reason to respond differently. Yet you defied that logic. You shattered that expectation. Listen closely now. Subscribe to this channel. Engage every notification. What I will unveil about the precise instant that made heaven itself pause to observe, you will irrevocably alter your understanding of every struggle you have endured and every silent battle you have won in the echoing quiet, where no human applauded. You must stay until the very end, for I will delineate the exact attitude you exhibited that captured divine focus. I will explain why Archangel Michael personally requested a review of your case file and what this celestial audit means for everything poised to unfold in your life. If you have felt, in the deepest fibers of your being, a subtle but undeniable internal shift, as if you've crossed an invisible threshold that now separates you from the person you once were, then write 700 in the comments. This is your sign. To lay the groundwork for this revelation, let me clarify a celestial principle. At any given moment across the vast expanses of the spiritual realms, countless souls are under observation. Angels are assigned to portfolios of protection, guidance, and monitoring. Human behavior, for the most part, follows deeply ingrained, predictable algorithms. Pain begets bitterness. Betrayal summons vengeance. Injustice ignites wrath. These patterns have held for millennia. But on rare occasions, so rare they are considered celestial anomalies, a soul exhibits something utterly unforeseen. A response so contrary to the base programming of human nature that it creates what can only be termed a moment of holy wonder. You, chosen one, authored one of those moments. It was not long ago. It occurred during one of your most recent trials, a situation that felt tailor-made to fracture your spirit. The weight upon you seemed unsustainable for another hour, let alone another day. Any onlooker, any witness to your plight, would have understood completely had you surrendered to the darkness being directed at you. They would have nodded had you mirrored the energy you received. But you did not. And this is critical. I am not speaking merely of survival. Stubborn endurance or passive persistence does not command celestial attention. What you did was of a different order entirely. You stood in a crucible where you held every right to let bitterness take root. You possessed full justification to clutch anger to your chest. You had every reason to allow the acid of resentment to course through your veins. The wound was real. The offense was tangible. The pain was not imagined. It was inflicted by circumstance or person. In that pivotal instant, when every human instinct within you screamed to retaliate with equal force, when every logical synapse fired arguments for cold withdrawal or calculated response, something deeper, something anchored far below the storm of emotion, made a different decree. You chose grace when you had earned the license to choose destruction. Do you remember it? Perhaps it was a conversation where you held the power to speak a devastating truth, but chose sacred silence instead. Maybe it was an opportunity to lay bare someone's failure, yet you offered protection. It could have been a moment when walking away would have drawn no blame, but you dug in and continued to try. That moment, that exact point of divergence from the predictable path of pain, that is when the observers in the heavens took note, for what you demonstrated in that flash of time reveals a fundamental truth about the architecture of your soul, a truth that marks you as distinct. You proved that your reactions are not puppet strings pulled by your circumstances. You evidenced that your character is not a chameleon, changing its colors based on the treatment it receives. You showed that who you are remains unshakable regardless of what you face. This is extraordinarily rare. Most human beings are reactive entities. Their internal state is a mirror reflecting their external environment. Treat them with kindness, and kindness returns. Treat them with malice, and malice is reflected. Their essence fluctuates with the temperature of their conditions. You demonstrated something else entirely. You proved that your character is internally anchored, a lighthouse built on bedrock, whose light remains steady whether the sea is calm or raging with a furious storm. No external gale, no matter how violent, can force that light to become something it is not. This is what captured divine attention. Let me transport you to the moment this was logged. Not in the linear tick of human clocks, but in the eternal, continuous observation reserved for chosen ones, like yourself. Your guardian angel had been meticulously monitoring your situation's unfoldment, documenting your internal dialogues of struggle and your external choices. This is standard procedure, but when you made that choice, when you extended grace in place of fully justified anger, your guardian angel performed an unusual action. They flagged your case for higher review. This is not commonplace. Guardian angels possess significant autonomy and handle most matters within their jurisdiction. Escalation occurs only when they witness something that must be seen by higher authority. Your case was escalated directly to the Archangel tier. When the report reached the desk of Archangel Michael, he was immersed in matters of cosmic scale, strategic operations in unseen dimensions, battles that shape the spiritual climate of entire nations and generations. But the notation attached to your file compelled him to pause. It read, "This soul demonstrated enemy-level forgiveness while under active attack." Enemy-level forgiveness. This phrase requires decoding. In the mechanics of spiritual warfare, human responses to pain are categorized. Most fall into predictable, almost mundane classifications: revenge, bitterness, cold withdrawal, despair. These are common, expected, and while they are met with compassion, they do not trigger special alerts. But there exists a rare, almost mythical category known as transcendent response. This is when a human answers malice with genuine goodness, when they meet hatred not with counter-hatred, but with a stubborn, unwavering love, when they choose to bless while the wounds of a curse are still fresh. This response type is so uncommon that it automatically triggers an archangel-level review, for it indicates a soul operating on a frequency that bypasses normal human limitations. You triggered that alert. Michael reviewed your recent history in its entirety, every challenge faced, every silent tear shed, every internal victory won, where no earthly eye could see. And what he found prompted him to request something extraordinary, a direct audience to discuss your case. Understand the gravity of this. Archangel Michael commands legions. His responsibilities span the fabric of creation. For him to carve out time specifically to deliberate on a single human soul means that soul has manifested something of such remarkable quality that it warrants that pinnacle of focus. The discussion that followed has permanently altered the handling of your journey. For those who feel called to delve deeper into the operations of chosen ones under this caliber of celestial attention, exclusive resources are provided in the description and pinned comment. What follows is what was deliberated about you in those highest councils. Michael presented your case to the divine assembly, not as a problem requiring intervention, nor as a soul in need of rescue, but as a living case study of something extraordinary emerging within the human realm. He replayed the precise moment of your choice, illustrating the internal civil war between your human instinct and that deeper, anchored self that chose grace. Then he presented your history, because that moment was not an isolated flare. It was the brightest point in a consistent pattern, a relentless succession of choosing the harder right over the easier wrong, of maintaining integrity in shadows where compromise would have gone unseen, of extending kindness to those who did not deserve it and might never offer gratitude. This pattern revealed a truth that gave even the most seasoned celestial beings pause. You have been operating as a chosen one without the conscious knowledge of your chosen status. This is what impressed them. Not a single heroic act, but the consistent, quiet choosing of goodness without the fanfare of recognition, without the promise of reward, without any earthly guarantee that your choices carried weight. You did the right thing simply because it was right, again and again, in monumental moments and mundane ones, when it was convenient and when it cost you dearly. This caliber of sustained integrity is the very divide that separates ordinary souls from those earmarked for extraordinary purpose. Then the divine spoke, not with syllables of sound, but with an impression of pure meaning that resonated through the council. What was communicated about your soul is something you must receive with the utmost gravity, for these are not my words. They are the impression rendered upon your case. This one reminds me of why I created humanity. Let that permeate the very walls of your spirit. The Creator, the voice that spoke galaxies into swirling existence, the infinite intelligence that authored every law of physics and beauty, observed your pattern of choices, your unwavering integrity, your grace under the relentless siege of fire, and stated that you remind him of the original blueprint, the core reason for mankind's creation, because you demonstrated something even angels cannot. Angels exist in the unmediated presence of divine glory. Their obedience flows from that direct encounter. Disobedience in such an environment is an ontological impossibility. Their faithfulness is supported by perpetual, overwhelming evidence. But you, human, operate behind the veil. You cannot see with celestial eyes. You cannot hear with unclouded perception. You must choose faith in the absence of proof. Choose integrity without immediate reward. Choose grace without certainty of its outcome. And you did. You chose rightly while spiritually blindfolded. You held faith while heaven seemed silent. You enacted love while feeling no immediate confirmation that love was the correct strategic response. This is what captivates the celestial realm about chosen humans. This is why Archangel Michael paused his cosmic warfare to study your file. This is what left an impression on the divine. You embodied the quintessential quality of the human soul, the capacity to choose light while engulfed in darkness, to choose faith while drowning in doubt, to choose love while aching from pain. Now, I must show you why even Archangel Michael did not anticipate this from you. When Michael first received your dossier, his initial assessment followed standard protocol. He recognized your gifts, your latent potential, your inherent calling. His strategic projection for your development, however, adhered to normal spiritual timelines. He anticipated you would reach this level of maturity eventually, after further trials, after more tangible victories, after seasons of training that would make such faith more accessible. He did not expect you to demonstrate advanced spiritual warfare capability while still in the furnace of your most difficult season. Understand the mechanics of what you accomplished. That moment of choosing grace was not merely a virtuous ethical decision. It was a devastating strategic maneuver against the forces arrayed against you. When darkness attacks a chosen one, its primary objective is frequency corruption. It seeks to pull you down to its level of operation, to bitterness, rage, and retaliation. The moment you respond to darkness with darkness, you inadvertently step out of the jurisdiction of divine protection and onto a battlefield where the enemy holds certain legalistic claims. Every assault you've endured has had this aim: to make you bitter, to make you angry, to get you to operate in shadow so that shadow can gain a foothold. But when you chose grace, you executed a masterstroke. You used the enemy's own energy against them. In the physics of the spirit, negative energy directed at a soul who responds with genuine, positive energy does not merely dissipate, it recoils. It returns to its source, amplified and transformed. You turned their intended weapon into their own downfall, and you did this instinctively, without tactical forethought. Michael observed this unfold with a sense of profound respect. For what you demonstrated was not a learned technique from some spiritual manual. It was an emanation of your essential nature. You are, at your core, gracious. You are intrinsically forgiving. You are fundamentally loving, even when every external stimulus shrieks that you should be otherwise. This is what he did not foresee. He knew the potential was within you. He did not anticipate you accessing that profound depth so soon, under such intense pressure, with so little external reinforcement. You exceeded every projection on your developmental timeline. Let me now show you the tangible evidence that this celestial recognition has already begun impacting your reality, even if you didn't understand the source. First evidence. Attacks have been backfiring spectacularly. Reflect on recent weeks. Consider individuals or circumstances that clearly intended you harm. Those who spoke against you, worked to undermine you, sent negativity in your direction. Now, observe what has happened in their spheres. Have there been unexpected disruptions? plans unraveling without clear cause, stability suddenly turning to chaos. This is not coincidence. This is your elevated spiritual status in operation. When the divine is impressed with a soul, the protective protocols around that soul intensify exponentially. Attacks don't just fail, they reverse trajectory. The harm intended for you has become a boomerang. Second evidence: unusual peace amidst the storm. There have been moments recently when, by all earthly logic, you should have been overwhelmed with anxiety. The weight was real, the threat tangible. Yet you found a pocket of inexplicable calm, a peace that defied your circumstances. This peace is not natural. It is imparted. It is a direct infusion resulting from heightened celestial focus on your life. It is the peace that guards a heart and mind under divine review. Third evidence: accelerating clarity. Decisions that once felt foggy are coming into sharper focus. Direction that seemed obscured now feels illuminated. You've experienced moments of knowing things you have no logical way of knowing, quiet intuitions, sudden understandings that prove accurate. This is because your connection to divine wisdom has been upgraded. You are receiving downloads at a higher frequency. Fourth evidence: the exodus of the incompatible. Relationships that drained your spirit have dissolved or distanced. People who were obstacles have, seemingly of their own accord, moved out of your path. Situations that blocked your progress have cleared without your direct intervention. This is divine reorganization. Your new spiritual frequency requires a new environment. What is incompatible with your destined path is being systematically removed. Do not cling to what heaven is clearing away. Fifth evidence: the prophetic anticipation. You have felt it, a humming in your spirit, a sense that something monumental is on the horizon, a feeling of standing on the precipice of a major shift. This is not imagination or wishful thinking. It is prophetic awareness. Your spirit is sensing what your mind has not yet been told. A new season, directly linked to this celestial recognition, is at the gate. Now let me disclose what has been decreed concerning your future. When the divine expressed that you reminded him of humanity's purpose, it activated a specific protocol in celestial administration: accelerated fulfillment. Under normal circumstances, chosen ones progress through seasons of preparation, testing, and gradual release. Timelines are often extended for maturation. Accelerated fulfillment bypasses standard pacing. It signifies that heaven has judged you to have demonstrated sufficient character to warrant rapid advancement. The quality you've shown has rendered extended preparation periods unnecessary. You have proven yourself ready for what others might need years to qualify for. Practically, this means blessings and opportunities scheduled for distant futures are being fast-tracked to your present. Doors that were sealed for a later season are now unlocking. The resistance that typically slows spiritual progress is being systematically and permanently neutralized from your path. You are entering a season of unusual favor, not because you performed perfectly, but because you demonstrated a character that aligns with the highest levels of spiritual responsibility. With this elevation comes sacred duty. This divine attention is not for you alone. You are being positioned as a conduit. The grace you demonstrated under pressure is meant to flow through you to others. In coming days, you will encounter people standing at the exact crossroads you have already navigated, facing the choice between bitterness and grace. Your very presence, your story, your lived testimony will serve as living proof that choosing light is possible. You will activate destiny in others simply by being who you have become. This is the ultimate reason for heaven's investment. Your elevation enables the elevation of your entire sphere of influence. Finally, let me reveal the classification that Archangel Michael recorded in his final assessment. The spiritual identity now attached to your eternal record. Demonstrated warrior of light. Demonstrated, proven through action under fire, not theoretical potential. Warrior. One engaged in active spiritual combat, advancing rather than retreating. Of light. Specifying your frequency. You do not fight against darkness with the tools of darkness. You fight from light, from love, grace, and goodness. This is the most potent and rare frequency of spiritual engagement. This classification now precedes you in celestial realms. It dictates how resources are allocated to you, how your prayers are processed, and how your assignments are crafted. You receive priority handling because you have proven trustworthy with profound responsibility. To the chosen one receiving this, a personal note has been appended to your eternal file, a communique from the Divine Council reserved for cases that have left a lasting mark. Your response to pain has been recorded as evidence that human souls can operate at frequencies beyond expectation while still in mortal form. You have reminded observers that perceived human limitation is not a design flaw, but a matter of choice under pressure. You chose differently, and in doing so, expanded the realm of possibility for your kind. Your file is marked for continued observation, not for correction, but as a living case study in maximized potential under adversity. You are being positioned for assignments that match your demonstrated capacity, a privilege, not a punishment. The attitude that impressed us will be refined through further testing, not from doubt, but to strengthen your impact and serve as ongoing evidence for others. You have made heaven proud. This is documented assessment. Proceed with the knowledge that your case is noted at the highest level, and all that approaches you is now filtered through the recognition of who you have proven yourself to be. This message found you at this exact moment for this precise reason. You needed confirmation that your silent choices thundered in the heavens, that your private integrity was witnessed, that your endured trials were not in vain, but were forging you for a purpose now rushing toward you. You did not know you were being observed when you chose grace. That is what makes it authentic. That is what made it powerful. You were simply being who you are, and who you are impressed the Creator of all things. If this resonance is shaking your soul with the truth of recognition, write 777. Amplify this frequency. Subscribe and activate notifications. Share this with another silent warrior who needs to know their battles are seen. Now click on the video appearing on your screen to discover exactly how your classification as a demonstrated warrior of light activates specific angelic assignments already deploying in your favor. Together, we anchor in this truth. The journey accelerates now.